Get Gutsy, episode number 182 with Jamie Jensen. All parts of you deserve to be expressed. Welcome to Get Gutsy. I'm your host, Jenny Fennig, and I am so excited to be on this journey with you. A cutting-edge show blending business and spirituality, Get Gutsy serves up a potent blend of stories, lessons, and tips to help you make a massive impact in the world through your soul's work and your inspired life. No more going it alone, no more excuses. The world needs more brave women saying yes to leadership. Are you with me? Good. Let's get gutsy now. Hey there, Jenny here. Oh my gosh, the sun is shining. It's like beaming into my office right now. I'm recording this in the afternoon, and it's the time of day when the sun is like, oh, right there in the sky. There is snow everywhere. I took a walk earlier today, and in the snow, it was so cool. You know, I live in the Northeast in New England, and it snows here during winter. And it's absolutely beautiful. I feel like I live in a snow globe. Earlier today, I had two deer walk by my window, and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. You know, and it happens. I do get wildlife in the yard from time to time. It's not every day that I see deer, but when I do, I always know there's a message. So I had to share that with you. I'm feeling pretty plugged into nature. Right now, I'm very plugged into my intuition. I want to talk to you about that before I tell you about the guest that we have on our show today. Wow. Intuition, intuition, intuition. It's like one of my favorite things in the whole world. And if you are listening to this on the day that the episode goes live, I am leading a workshop tonight, an online workshop, so you can tune in from wherever you are in the world. And the whole theme is activating your intuition. And I want to teach my people about this because I've seen that so many of the women I work with, they doubt their own intuition. They trust everybody else over and above themselves. And many are pushing too hard, ignoring your body and what she's telling you about people, your health, your work, and your world. And as I was, taking some time off around the holidays at the end of 2017, and as we moved into this new year, it became very clear to me I wanted to teach on this topic specifically, intuition. And I've never given a workshop specifically on intuition. So it gets me excited because I know I'm going deeper into the work that I'm here to do, and I have a lot of tools and ideas and tips and lessons and stories to share with you. So please come and join me. It's Tuesday, January 23rd. That is the day that this episode goes live. And it's going to be just amazing. It's 7 p.m. Eastern time, 2.5 hours. If you can't come live, don't worry about it. We will send you the replay. And the tickets are only $20. So it was just one of those things that I said, I have to do this. I'm going to be talking to you about rituals and practices, working with the cycles and seasons, and smart calendaring to get more accomplished at work and at home while exerting less effort, how to tune out the noise of the world so you can create the next level of your sacred work without burning out, how to partner with your intuition in your business. When you do that, it just game changer stuff is happening, and how to develop spiritual protection from critics and detractors who you'll encounter on your path. And I really want to help you shift into a place of inspiration, faith, trust, excitement, and not desperation or fear, which I see a lot of right now. Our government operates on that. Our media very much operates on that, and you don't have to. You can go against the grain. You can be your own person. You can lead your crew in the way that they really want you to, in the way that you are here to do. So go to jennyfennig.com/intuition workshop. That's jennyfennig.com/intuition workshop. And you will be joining me and so many other amazing women who have said yes to circling up for this experience. So, wow, I have such a fun guest for you today. Such a fun guest. Her name is Jamie Jensen, and you are going to love her. I met Jamie through a group that we're both a part of. A year plus ago, I had a workshop in New York. She came. I got to meet her in purpose. She was just so vibrant, so Jamie. And I wanted to have her on the show. She said yes. So here's what this episode's all about. It's called All Parts of You Deserve to Be Expressed. And the idea is this: are you stifling pieces of yourself that yearn to come out? Do you have something big that you want to go for this year? Jamie Jensen is your girl. A lover of a blank canvas. Jamie shares so many juicy nuggets, like how attending the famous Fame High School in New York City made her shrink and question her self-worth and innate talents. How that particular experience taught her that all parts of you are valuable and need to be expressed, even if, quote, experts don't agree. How she fell in love with visual storytelling, why she decided to close her lucrative copywriting agency and start fresh, even though on paper that decision is totally irrational. The role her intuition plays in making big decisions, what's required to create vulnerable storytelling that captures the attention of your audience, and what is true about leaders. I know that you're a leader. This is the show that attracts leaders. I am committed to helping leaders, and you are going to walk away with so many nuggets from this episode of Get Gutsy. So without further ado, dive in and enjoy. All right, Jamie Jensen, welcome to Get Gutsy. So pumped to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time. We met, you came to a workshop I was leading, we're recording this at the end of 2017, so like a year ago in New York. You came, that was so awesome to meet you in person.
I was like, I need in-person things. Yes. You were like, come to my thing.
Come to my thing. I have an in-person thing.
Yeah.
I want people to come to my thing. That's so awesome. Thank you for coming to that. And it is nice to meet people in person. This work is, it's just this kind of funny world. Like, do you think about this sometime? Like, we have this whole like online thing that we do. And a lot of people that we talk to, we've never met. Some of whom we will never meet. Mm-hmm. And then we do have those times when we do get to meet them, or we make the effort. So I want to talk about your work, but before we get to your work and how you found out what you're here to do, and you do like lots of cool things, let's go back to like little Jamie time.
Jamie.
And this is just as I kind of moved into like a new season with my podcast, like what do I really want to talk about? Like I like to follow my own curiosity, and my own curiosity is around like, what were things like when you were younger? I want to talk more about your childhood. And let's start with, as you think about that time, like what was one of the most amazing pieces of your childhood? Is there a particular memory, a particular experience, just something about that time that you just, like, you look back and like, that was so rad?
It's funny because when I think about my childhood, I primarily think about myself like in spending time drawing and writing and like using like being a highly imaginative child. Mm-hmm. And that is most of what my memories are. Like I know that I spent time with my sister, and I spent a lot of great time with my mom. And I remember taking vacations and like doing lots of Disney vacations with my family. What's funny about that though, is that it all comes back to this, like being in this land of imagination, and that being really nurtured and encouraged by my parents.
How did you discover that land of imagination?
Someone handed me a blank piece of paper and a set of colored pencils.
You remember that. That I'm handing you the paper. Mm-hmm.
I just like I feel like so much of my life, like I can't imagine, I don't remember a time in my life when I wasn't like, here's the blank canvas. What am I creating?
That's so awesome. Blank canvas. And you know what? You're making me so proud, because I give my daughter, especially, she's 3, I give her this paper, white computer paper. I'm just like, that's what she wants. She doesn't want a coloring book with the lines in there and like pictures. I try to do that. She's like, she gets offended. She's like, no, give me the white paper. I'm like, all right. And so it's just super easy. And she just goes and she's got her pens and she's doing her thing. And so that's how it was for you. They just gave you that blank canvas and have fun.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like it's literally the same person today. So it's just, I'm sure a lot of people have like, I know that I spent time outside playing and that
Yeah.
existed, but when
Hmm.
I think back to my childhood, it's not at all what comes to mind.
Mm, that's so rad. And so you're not afraid when you see the blank canvas.
No, I love it. It's my favorite.
Hmm. That's so cool because there's a lot of people, they see that and they would get like anxiety, like, oh my God, what am I supposed to put on there? Like, what if it sucks? Like, did you ever have any of those concerns that you just remember? Yeah, it was just a freedom.
What's
Hmm.
funny is I feel like the blank canvas is the easier thing because it's
Hmm.
easy to do it, like especially as a writer, like the first draft to me is the easiest. For some people it's
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, the paper is blank, what do I put on it? And I have no problem being messy. I have no problem
Hmm.
just putting stuff on there. And to me,
Hmm.
I know that the real work usually comes in refining and rewriting and revising and all of those steps of the process. So
Hmm.
I will get intimidated when I have something to work on that already has existing content more than I
Hmm.
like. Give me a blank page all day, every day. I'll create new. It's so much easier for me energetically to do that.
And that's interesting once we dive more deeply into your sacred work, how that line, I look, that's why I ask these questions, because it's like the thread that has woven throughout your life. All right, so let's talk about what was really hard during that time. Was there a particular experience, something that happened to you, or just like whatevs that you look back like that was really, really challenging?
Mm-hmm. I don't have a lot of like hard memories from
Mm-hmm.
being like a child. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like stuff got awkward for me, becoming a teenager.
Teenage, we
And
can talk teenage. I'm talking pre-18.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Let's talk
So
teenage girl.
totally.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like my life changed pretty dramatically after the age of 14. Like there was this big shift in like my sense of self-worth and this becoming like you know becoming a woman was really
Mm-hmm.
awkward for me and really weird. And also like throughout my early teenage years, that's when my grandparents started passing away and I started
Mm-hmm.
facing mortality. And so I just came into like, okay, what is life? What are we here to do?
Mm-hmm.
And also seeing the impact of like my grandparents passing and the impact that had on my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Their marriage started to deteriorate more as I got into high school too, which was a really tough time.
Mm. Did they divorce when you were in high school? Did that happen, or?
They ended up not ever divorcing. My father passed
Mhm.
away actually when I was 20.
Oh.
So it was this like very strange, tense environment where like they didn't ever split up, but I feel like they could have or should have potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like that's my thing is I'm like sometimes I feel like it's better for people to like not stay together if they'd
Mm-hmm.
be happier apart,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was an awkward time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you for sharing that. You mentioned about self-worth, like your sense of self-worth. What was that all about?
What was it about? I can't tell you where it comes from. Um, well, I went to a performing arts high school, so I feel like that was a big part of it for me.
Where
I
were
went
you living?
I was living, so I'm from Queens, New York. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to the Fame School, which is it's really like around the corner from Lincoln Center in
I
Manhattan.
know that school. It's the Guardia, the
Yep,
Guardia High School. Because I
yep,
used to live right there, and I
yep,
would walk by that, and I was like, "These people are so
yep,
creative." Okay, you
yep.
went there.
I
Okay,
went
so
there.
did
I
you have
went
to
there for
apply to
visual
get
art.
into there? Like, what was that whole process
Yes.
like? Mm-hmm.
You had to apply to get in. You had to audition. It's like an application process. You go there. And so I applied for two different concentrations, visual art, which was like studio art major, and acting.
Mm.
And for acting, like there was an audition. For studio art, you had to go. They gave you different like assignments to do that you had to sit and like draw a certain thing or do
Mm-hmm.
different assignments. So I applied for both. This is actually a pattern in my life, which is funny. I applied for both. I think my soul really wanted acting and I got in for visual art.
Got it. Got it. Got it. But at least you went for both. Like you went for it.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, totally. It's just funny because I totally forgot about that until we're talking about it now. So it's interesting. Great questions, Jenny.
Boy, thank you. Yeah, that's why I just, again, follow that curiosity. Like, what was that? Oh, the fame school. And oh, I used to live there. And that's so cool. And so was it that you were just around like super talented people there?
Yeah. I think I went from being like highly creative, talented person, like literally like won every award, like mixed, like art award, drama award, writing awards. I mean, this was me, and so to then go to a school where I'm then surrounded by like tons of other talented people, I felt like I shrank. And I think because I got in for one thing and not the other, it made me question like my worth and my talent. And also what was interesting about the fame school, which I've talked about before, not necessarily in the context of business, but you were in one major concentration. And so, I did photography, I did ceramics, I did drawing, I did painting, I did watercolors, I did oil, I did acrylics, I did art history, right? Like, so I was really in this art corner. But from the perspective of being like a fully embodied person, it felt really confining because it didn't matter. Like, okay, so I'm not good enough to do acting for the context of what the school is looking for right now, but like, I still want to do that.
Yes.
So I ended up doing a summer program at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and I ended up doing other, like, going to other studios and schools for it. But I remember the feeling of like, this part of me is invaluable. This part of me, and like cutting it off and feeling confined and stifled and just, at that age with all the other things that happen at that age, like coming of age and feeling worthy and like other people my age have a boyfriend and I don't, right? All those things.
Yeah, totally. I hear you on that. What was like your big lesson learned then as you look back and you made it through that time? What was your lesson learned from that experience?
I mean, my lesson learned is always that like all parts of you deserve and need to be expressed. And so it's like, there really isn't a value that you can put on that. It's just like, that's a part of you too. Great. Go do it. This is a part of you too. Great. Go do it. And so that's like, when I say it's a pattern, like that's what I would say in a lot of my experiences in life. It's been this like, oh, well, I feel like the society puts us in a box in so many different ways. Right. And it's like, no matter what, there's always a box and you put yourself in a box. So it's like, at what point are you going to decide like, this isn't the box I want to live in anymore? Right.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So well said. I love that. All parts of you deserve to be expressed. Yes. Okay. So you graduate from this high school, I'm guessing, and then you go on to college. Like then, where did your education go next? And then how did that lead you into the work that you were doing professionally?
So I still was like avid journaler, avid writer, was like excelling in all of my journalism and writing classes and languages and all of that stuff. So I'm like a super nerd, like a school nerd. I love school.
Yeah. Me too. I'm like, oh my God, that was me. I never want to miss a day. Straight A's, like didn't always get straight A's, but whatever. Like I loved going to class. I like learning.
Yeah. And I feel like so many people in like the entrepreneur space is often on some level, like there are a lot of people who are very successful entrepreneurs who are carrying the message and living the truth that like, you don't need school to be successful in business at all, which is true. And I love school.
And I also still love it. Yes, I know.
I believe in all of us, expanding our consciousness and our sense of selves and personal development through education and all that stuff. So what happened next was I basically figured out that for me, I was really passionate about visual storytelling. And so what I loved about art, and what I loved about acting and drama and writing, and it was like, I'm just always telling a story with something that I'm doing. If I'm doing a painting, like what am I expressing? What feeling state am I giving the person who is on the receiving end of it? What story am I telling? And I became, that was also why I got super nerdy about art history, was I would look at these different, like literally paintings from like Dutch masters and be like, I want to jump into that scene and like get to know these people and see what their lives are. And it's just all of that. And I was always fascinated in studying literature too, how much you can learn about the author and how like the author really is the work in so many ways. And so I kind of knew that I wanted to go more into the writing direction and potentially more into the film direction. And so I eventually found myself studying at NYU, and my concentration was dramatic storytelling, which was, I kind of made it up, which they let me do at the Gallatin School. So that was where I landed. And I got to do this interdisciplinary approach, which was what I was missing in high school, where I said, all right, I want to do interdisciplinary. I want to take a course on like a topic and look at literature and look at art and look at these different areas and how they all kind of converge on the subject. So that was where I found myself there.
So you navigated to the next right step for you. And then how did you break into a career and start getting paid for this stuff?
Yeah. It's been quite a journey. I actually have my master's in producing, from USC as well. And so I ended up breaking into copywriting because I independently, co-produced and co-directed a feature film. And it was through the digital distribution of that film that I became more aware of like digital marketing, and that this whole world of marketing existed online, and also just more consciously aware of like, the future of like niche content creation in the, from the perspective of like, well, what are we doing? Where's the digital world taking us? And how does a creator thrive in a digital world? Which is what I'm fascinated with generally. But that led me to think about how can I support other writers and creators who are thriving in this like changing landscape, and also other creative entrepreneurs who are in this landscape. And that eventually led me into a business where I was coaching writers and also doing copy.
Did you ever work for like anyone other than yourself, really? I mean, have you always really kind of just been on your own?
I did in Hollywood. I did have like jobs in Hollywood. I worked at a talent agency for a while. I worked at Miramax. I worked at Mandate Films, which is a division of Lionsgate. I worked on the TV show House for writers. So I was working. I was very curious. My first job in the film industry was working at a post-production accounting company. And I basically just would go through all their files, and like I would file stuff and be so fascinated to look at like where the money went, like what are they spending money on, where's the money going. And basically most of the jobs that I've held were like in the entertainment industry.
And are you in that space at all anymore?
Yes.
Okay, right, because you're doing like a lot of cool stuff. So tell us more about kind of like your business now. Like, I mean, this is a show for spiritual entrepreneurs. So it's like, we got to talk about the work, and then it's like, and then how do we make money from the work? So like, how are you making a living from your work? Like talk about like the different buckets or the different streams, if you will.
Absolutely. So I had a copywriting agency. So what ultimately, I scaled my copywriting business doing done-for-you copy, hired other writers, had a team of up to like, at the most we had 7. And that was my primary revenue stream for my business. And I made a decision this year to make a big change and shift.
It's like, what decision did you make?
I made a decision to shut down the agency arm of my business and focus more on developing writers, coaching writers, and supporting writers, and focusing more on vulnerable storytelling and teaching storytelling principles. And also like I am still doing some done-for-you writing and strategy stuff like related to marketing, but most of it is still from the perspective of like, how can we show up in our business, because writing ultimately for your business is a way of showing up, right? How can we show up in our business like as vulnerably and authentically as possible?
Yes, it's so important. How did you make that decision? How did you get there to shut down that agency? Because I'm sure it was, lucrative. You're getting money in, you get stuff. It's like
it was lucrative.
it was very lucrative. Okay. which makes it sometimes harder. If it's not making any money, you're just like, whatever. It's like sometimes it's still painful. You're like, but I just believe in it. No one else is believing in it for some reason. Okay, so people were believing in this. You had clients, you're busy, and yet what happened?
Yeah. So a few things happened, but ultimately the big reason was like the decision came from my intuition. It wasn't like, oh, this, like, there's literally nothing logical. I mean, there
which
were
is always the
reasons.
best shit. And like, don't wait for this to be logical, because it's not. It's like illogical.
Yeah, it's not. It's like you just know when things aren't working. And it was a feeling. It wasn't, because according to my profit and loss statements, like we grew 50% every year over year for 4 years. So like we were great. I was nurturing a business that was growing every year and on a sustainable rate. And it was working. We were booked. A lot of people, it was funny because I had a lot of copywriters reach out after I shut everything down, and they were like worried that it meant that like no one wants to hire this, or the business isn't working. I'm like, the business is working. We're booked out. I need more writers, and I don't want to hire more people or train more people. I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Did you consider like having somebody, kind of manage all that, and you take a step in a new direction? And you just chose not to do that?
I considered a lot of things. There are people who asked me if I would, like, why don't you sell it? Why don't you do it this way? Why don't you hire a CEO to come in? Why don't you, like, here's all these other options. And like, I just didn't want any of them.
Yeah.
I felt like I needed a clean break, even for myself mentally, because it's that universal law of like, energy is still going out.
Yeah.
It's still mine, and I'm still holding on to it. So until I let it go, I don't even know what else is possible, because the space is full. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. And it's interesting too, because the 4 years, and in my past life, in my corporate life, I was able to be in jobs for 4 years apiece. It was like, I often, especially for those of us who are like super into school, or like learners and stuff, or like, oh my God, school was 4 years, right? High school, college, typically 4 years. And so in that period of time, I look back because I thought that was fascinating, my own journey. I'm like, why can I not make it past the 4-year thing? It's like, for me, when I would hit that point, it was like, I've learned everything there is to learn here. And if I keep hanging, I'm going to kind of go in reverse, and I'm just going to stagnate, and that's not okay with me. And so I think that's just fascinating with the 4-year cycle. And maybe for those of us who have, had like a good history with school, and we kind of took it really serious and got everything that we could get out of it in that period of time, when we find ourselves in situations where like, I'm complete, this is complete, and I know I can hold on, I know I can do it this other way, and I'm simply not interested. And you have to be passionate, you have to be interested, because why would you do it if you're not into it?
Yeah, I love that. I just love that. It's so true. And what's funny about you saying like, I'm complete, it really underlines that when I set out to create my agency, I always had this vision that we would be 5. Like, I was like, I'm going to have like 5 awesome writers, and like, it's going to be a little boutique and a family. And I had people tell me like, well, when you get to 5, you'll want to scale more and you'll want to grow more. And I'm like, I got to 5, and then I was like, I'm done.
You achieved your goal. You're like, we did it. So it's not like, oh, it's like you did what you set out to do, and now you want to do something else. All right. And so you're really focusing the bulk of your energy now on coaching and developing writers, also doing some done for you writing, but really looking at kind of growing your body of work as a coach and helping to spread this message around writing. And what was your description of the type of writing? It was like, you called it something. It was like visual. I know you're visual storytelling, but like something like storytelling, right? What is it called?
Yeah. Well, I basically have a program that supports people with telling their story.
Yes.
So really, I'm about like vulnerable storytelling.
Yes. That's what you call it. Vulnerable storytelling. What makes for vulnerable storytelling? Like, what are just some like, kind of little nuggets around that?
A few things. One is like being willing to have the range of high and low, like be willing to share the honest, shitty things and the highs, and like not from a place of like, I still feel great about this, everything's awesome. I think particularly in the personal development space, there's from a marketing perspective, there's a huge, it's hard to lean into, I'm still a fucked up human. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on this.
You totally are.
Okay,
yes,
good. I usually ask that at the beginning because
it's okay. It's all right, girl. You good here. Mm-hmm.
I think that I think that there's this challenge around like you tell a story and then the story's over, right? Like all stories have an end and there's like this happy ending and I overcame a problem and now I'm going to tell you how to overcome a problem. And I think that that's not full, like it's not full truth. And I think everyone knows that. And even the people that are like fully invested in supporting people like spiritually or coaching them around their journey are aware that like every leader is also a human who's also on a journey, who's also dealing with obstacles, who's also like facing issues and who might be having like the same demons or patterns like come up over and over again.
Yes.
It's not, we're never done. You know what I mean?
Yes. I always say when we're done, we're dead.
Yeah.
So I am not ready to be dead yet. So I am not done. I am a work in progress. I like that. So it's just that the range of the high and the low and telling that full truth. Why is that so scary for people?
It's scary because most people believe that like, that if people really knew me and really knew all of this stuff, then they wouldn't trust me. They wouldn't hire me. They wouldn't buy from me. They wouldn't believe in me. They would see through the facade. Most people believe that it would actually ruin their whole life.
Yes. Which I will tell you, Jamie, and you know, because this is what you do, that's such a lie that we tell ourselves. That's such a lie. And I think it's our ego. It's the inner critic. It's like, you know, maybe the little girl or the little boy, whoever's listening, who was told certain things growing up by people in power, like, don't tell anyone, you can't, no, keep that secret. You keep that over here. And, you know, I carried that with me for decades. And when I've written one book at this point, I have more in me, so many more in me. Oh my God. And that first book, I remember there was like these stories that were meant to come out and I was petrified to share these stories. I wrote my book. I call it, I kind of created like my own genre, if you will. I call it memoir mixed with medicine. So it was like personal growth mixed with like real stories. And I wrote them as if they were happening at that time. So I was a 16-year-old girl and I'm like writing it then. I'm not looking back being like, that was really freaking hard. I'm like in it. And I had to feel all of these things that honestly, I didn't even feel back then because I didn't know how to feel them back then. And I'm thinking about one story in particular. My sister died when I was 16 and she was 12. And you had your dad die when you're 20. It's like, death is hard any time, but especially when you're young and you don't necessarily have anyone guiding you through that. It's like messy. Your parents who said their marriage was like rocky. You know, with my sister, my parents were divorced and it was just like, we're all like on our own dealing with this. And so the way I was dealing with that was, I mean, it was crazy. It was just like crazy. I went out the night before she died. I got like totally blitzed, drove home drunk. I mean, I was wanting to die basically. And I didn't tell anyone that story, you know, publicly because I was so ashamed. And I just thought if I share that, no one's going to want to know me. No one's going to want to work with me. They're going to think I'm a horrible person. I was a horrible sister. I was a horrible daughter, just a horrible human. And I'm going to put this out there. But it haunted me for so long because I just had carried that shame. And I feel like as much as we can do to let go of our own personal shame, we're just collectively going to make the planet such a healthier place. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship and this, you know, personal development world that we're in, because it gives us the opportunity to be honest and to make, you know, to tell our truth and to trust that those who are meant to receive it, meant to be served by it, will. And for those who are threatened by it, they don't like it, they're not for us. And it's okay. And so I'm so glad that we're having this conversation, Jamie, because I want everyone who's listening to really take it in. Tell the fucking truth. You know, talk about it. And there's ways that, you know, there's ways to hone the craft. And that's what you do. It's like you're not wanting to like spill your guts every second of the day. You
Right.
have to do it with some finesse and with some intelligence and wisdom, because my whole thing is like, you don't want to like, choke your reader, like,
Right.
oh my God, you're like raining on me. So there's ways to do it. And I'm sure your program, how people can work with you, will help with that. So how can people find you, your work, what you're up to? Where do you want to take them?
Well, I'm still available at yourhotcopy.com.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the best place to find me right now is on my Facebook page, because I've been doing a lot of lives about like different story tips and stuff like that. So that's facebook.com/Jamie Jensen Live. And that's JENSEN.
Nice. I love it. So you like Facebook Live?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, me too. Now, is this your like business page, your personal? Like, how do you do that?
Well, the Jamie Jensen page is my biz personal page.
Biz purse. No, I do a biz purse. Is it technically a page or a profile?
It is technically a page.
Okay, cool.
It's technically a page where I'm going to be doing like lives pretty much weekly on like different topics around these.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I started doing that this year too, like weekly lives, and it was nice just to have like a regular time slot in there. And I'm like, and then, there's technology, you can like pre-record stuff and have it come off, as live. And that's nice to know that that's available. But I really enjoy just having that time to like hunker down and like talk to people in real time as if we're in a room together, sitting in a circle. And I like that feedback. I really do enjoy the energy. So I always like to know, like, my colleagues, like, what are you doing with that? what's your view? So it's cool to hear you like it too.
I do.
You like it too. All right, Jamie, you're amazing. And I just want to acknowledge you for what decision you made this year to let go of that agency. I know that wasn't an easy decision. Anytime we walk away, whatever it is, like from a business, from a relationship, from a place that we live, from like an identity, it's like painful. It's really painful. So I see you and I celebrate that decision. And I know that the space that you've opened up is going to just, be filled with what you're ready for, like what you really do desire, and what's going to get you to that next realm of kind of your evolution. So that's what I got for you today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I receive it.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad. All right. Well, I want to know the answer to our finale question. What is the gutsiest move you've ever made, and how does it inspire your life and work today?
It's really hard to answer this question as if it's not happening right now.
Well, you're in it. You're in it. Yeah, yeah.
So I made a decision to move back to Los Angeles.
Woo!
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering, like, we did the whole Hollywood thing, but you're in New York now. Yeah. So what is that?
I'm still doing it. It's just, I need to be fully committed to it, which I haven't been. So I made a decision to like be recommitted, which is moving across the country again with my partner who's loves me and is coming with me, which is fantastic. And right now that feels like it does feel like a very ballsy move for me, because I'm like, oh, I'm going to shut down my agency and I'm also going to do this and doing this and doing this. And I'm going to move across the country. And
sometimes you just got to take that deep breath.
Yeah.
And
yep.
How does it make you feel?
Excited and scared.
Yes,
which is the
perfect combination. Right? So I say people, I'm like, you're supposed to be feeling both. I mean, that's when, so people are like, I'm so scared and I'm excited, but I don't know, I'm freaked out that I'm scared. I'm like, that goes with it. I've heard it said, and I say it to people, that, fear is excitement without the breath. And so when we can just like, when you took that breath, I'm like, that's so good that you're breathing. I trained to become a yoga teacher before I discovered coaching. When I was like, get me the F out of corporate, get the New York, something is not right. Same thing. I quit the job, 6 figures. Like I was making close to $200K a year. And I freaking quit. I didn't even have a job. I didn't know about coaching. I didn't have a website. I didn't have any of that. This was back in 2007. Like Facebook was like a baby. And I did that. So I've done like these, my own version of the gutsy moves like you've done too. And you just got to trust it. You got to trust it. And I'm so excited for you. So when do you think this is happening?
My move.
Yeah.
January.
Okay. This is so rad. Well, I want to come visit you. My brother lives in Pasadena. And I was out there like over the summer, which was so cool. I had some like stuff in Northern California. I was like, you know what? I'm going to cruise down to Southern California. I didn't know I had a brother until I was 25, like whole nother story. And so my sister died when I was a teenager. Then I found out I had a brother when I was 25. So like for 10 years, thought I was like kind of an only child. You know, I went from like a sibling to like she died. And then I'm like, what? I have a brother? So he lives in Los Angeles, and I made a point to go out this summer and like really get to know him, you know. And I think I just like having these real conversations. That's why I like my podcast, you know, because it's just, we do all these things online. We can have these like really, you know, cozy, cutesy comments back and forth on stuff, but when you really just take some time to get to know somebody and ask them questions and listen, you can discover a lot about humanity and about yourself. And I'm just so pumped for you because I think Los Angeles is a wonderful place. Every time I go, I'm like, California's my spirit state. You know, I feel something there.
Please come visit.
I totally will. And I just think that, you know, why wouldn't you give this a go? You kind of just opened up all this space, especially like before you have, I don't even know if you want to have kids, but you just, nothing's really holding you back. You're just like, let's just go. I mean, the worst thing that happens, like, dude, I did it for a year and like, I'm going to move back to New York. I'm going to pick someplace else because, you know, I did it.
Yep. Maybe it'll just be 4 years. And then after another 4-year cycle, I'll be like, all right, rinse, repeat. What's next?
Yes. But if you didn't do it, you'd always be wondering. And so are you going to really be immersing yourself back into that Hollywood landscape? Because I know you like films and you like, you know, writing, and it sounds like directing and producing and all this stuff brings you joy and pleasure and excitement.
Yep. I'm going to do all of it.
Good. Good. And then maybe we'll receive your film in the mail because my husband is a member of the Directors Guild of America because he's a producer in sports television. And we, like, one of the best parts of him being in the DJ is
the award screenings.
Oh my God. Like, you understand, our mailbox is blowing up right now. I have so many movies, like most of which I've never heard of, but some I'm like, oh my God, that one came. And it's so rad. So I'm going to hold space in my mind for me to receive a film that has your name on it.
Thank you. I will hold space for that too now that you've set the intention.
If you want that. You know?
I do,
okay.
sure.
Okay. I'm like,
I mean, if we're going to do it, let's do it. You know what I mean?
Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Let's
just
Jamie.
ask for what we want. You know?
Exactly. Like, let's just dream big and let's just freaking go for it. And let's just move to LA if you're feeling it. And I love that your partner's going with you. Yes. How long have you been together?
We've been together for almost 3 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome, Jamie. Well, thank you again for being here and for coming to my workshop last year, you know, for just doing that. And I just love, like, you know, I want people to know that about this space too, those of us who are in coaching and creatives. Like, this is a very, I think, a generous space. Like, we really do help each other. You got to navigate to the right communities because I'm sure they're not maybe all like that, but there's certainly pockets of this big world where we really do support one another and we, you know, help wherever we can and just rise each other up because, you know, it can be hard and we can get hard on ourselves. And just like you said with the self-worth, you know, you're around really talented people and it's so easy to be like, oh my God, their thing is so much better than mine. You know, they're so much further along. I don't know if we'll ever get there. And so we need to be, you know, coming back together and remind ourselves and each other that we're freaking awesome.
Yeah. And celebrate each other. You know what I mean? Celebrate each other.
Celebrate each other. All right, y'all, go check her out. Jamie Jensen, yourhotcopy.com. Right? I got that going on. And everybody out there, you go out and do your thing. This is Jenny Fennig sending you so much love, light, and faith as you get gutsy. I will see you next time.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and you're listening to Get Gutsy with Jenny Fennig. Gutsy leaders unite and ignite.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Get Gutsy as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. Are you responsible for leading and growing your spiritual business? If so, I have a free tool for you that will help you spread your message like wildfire. It's called the Sacred Marketing Puzzle, and it's a one-page PDF guide that simplifies the often mysterious and confusing world of marketing. When you use sacred marketing tools to amplify your message, you'll provide huge value to your tribe and grow your business. What are you waiting for? Go to jennyfennig.com/puzzle to get yours instantly. That's jennyfennig.com/puzzle. Gutsy leaders, unite.